Hello and welcome to Waro Snippets, a place where you find out small little information about your potential job. Today we're looking at top 7 questions chefs should ask before applying to summer camp. And I have here with me my good pal Tess, who was our chef last year, and she came in a transitional year, and we thought it would be fun to do a video like this just so we can give a little bit of a behind the scenes. So if you're thinking of applying at a summer camp, you're already ready to know, what is sort of the behind the scenes before you actually pack up your sleeping bag and get going into the country. So Tess, I have our first question, and I've decided it's actually for me. This question is for myself, and the question is, tell me about the kiddos. So the number one thing I think to ask any organization is actually about their mission statement. So most camps, or all camps I would say, has a pretty solid mission statement. Of course, it's like camper focus first, that kind of thing. But what are the values of that organization? Because that organization is going to want that to transcend into the kitchen, and you will be around kids and you will be around young staff. So at Waro, we focus on creating a safe space so that kids and staff can discover who their authentic selves are and express themselves without, shame. And it's a place to discover yourself. So for us, that's really important. So creating a safe environment within the kitchen is going to be valued. So get excited about the mission statement. If it fits with your value system, then I say keep going and continue with that interview. Number 2, what about them rules? Tess, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
You're really starting me off with the fun stuff here. But at any place that's like very kid focused, of course, rules are going to be important and you're going to want to know them going in. So what are the policies and rules around alcohol? At Waro, there's none of it on camp. That's a pretty standard camp policy. Smoking, is there a specific smoking area? What are the rules around that? And then are you allowed guests on camp? Those are all things you're going to want to know before you get to camp.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's that whole kid focused place. So it's not like a typical job that you would have in the city. But again, that's why I work at camp. Like it's that fun aspect of it. But knowing what you're getting into is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Am I living with other people? Like what does it look like?
Yeah, likely you are, but it varies from camp to camp. So Waro, it depends on the team we've got. But there's a combination provided on camp. If you have something else nearby that you'd rather be living at, go for it. But there will be a place on camp for you if you want it. You might well have a housemate. And if you want to be in a beautiful place outdoors, that's really one of the main things that camp has to offer. So make sure that's something that appeals to you first.
Exactly. And some camps, they have chefs have the shower right within the building, their own bathroom. At our organization, you have your own building with electricity, so fancy, but showers and bathrooms, those are separate from the building. So it's just knowing about those little features.
A little rustic.
A little rustic. Okay, we're getting more specific into the actual job of being a chef on camp. So can you hit us up with a couple of what are the responsibilities of a camp chef?
I mean, obviously the main one is feeding people.
Right.
The main thing is producing meals, 3 meals every day for everybody. But within that, there are other things that may or may not be your responsibility when you're the camp chef. So the menu, is there already a menu in place or are you going to be building your own? Menus at accredited camps have to be dietitian approved. So at Waro, we already have a menu that you'll be able to follow. What dietary restrictions are you going to be accommodating? Vegans, vegetarians, gluten-free, allergies, those are things you're going to want to know going in. Once again, at Waro, we've got that built into the menu, so you should be good to go, but you will have to be making them. Staff training and management. So we've got a program for training at Waro, but it is going to be your responsibility. Ultimately, it's your team, so you'll have support. But it may be many of their first times working in a professional kitchen. So that's a big responsibility to take on. A lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Cleaning, organization, food safety, all that is you're the authority there. So you're going to get some help with the cleaning, but you're the end of the line there. It's your call making sure that all that is upheld. You're in charge of ordering as well. You'll work with Shani, our logistics coordinator, on that. She's a great point person there. That and
Mm-hmm.
then budgeting. It's mostly about being open with communication around budgeting, making sure that we're staying on track. But all those things are things you're going to want to know exactly what you're getting into before you sign up.
Absolutely. And that's something that I know that you and your teammate Mim worked hard at last year in setting up that system. Okay, we know some of the responsibilities, but what does a day to day look like? And I know that it changes every day. Like that's life. That's life in the kitchen. I think chefs are very used to that. But as sort of just a typical, what could one expect out of their day?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to want to structure it a little differently. And
Yeah.
as you said, every day is different. But generally, they start early. We were in the kitchen at 6:30, grabbing myself a coffee. I mean, I'm not a morning person, so I set myself up for the morning, so I really didn't have to think until I'd already fully had my coffee. So I would get right on making breakfast with the list I'd given myself the day before. And then once breakfast was well underway, ready to go, I would start looking over my plan for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast goes out at 8. Then everyone's eating. That's great. And then breakfast comes back in. We clean up. Then we take a mini break to eat ourselves and then do our little morning self-care routine, whatever that may be. And then we'll have a meeting with the team when we meet back up. Touch base, go over what the plan is for the day, what we're eating that day, all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Little wrap up before we move into the afternoon, which is hilarious here because we have afternoons start at 10 a.m. Also, the life of a chef. Yeah.
Our afternoon really is about getting ready for lunch and then doing some prep work for tomorrow. I was always trying to work one day ahead as much as possible, so getting stuff done for the next day is really important. At 12:15, we put out lunch, whatever it is, and then once again, helping people like with refills, getting more for their kids, whatever needs to happen during the meal, and then once we're all done, cleaning up and breaking for our siesta, which might involve a nap or a jump in the lake and lying on the dock. There's many different ways to spend that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we meet back up again, we'll have another team meeting, see how everyone's doing, and go over our plan for the rest of the day.
I love that. And then our evenings seem to be starting at around 3:45 p.m.
Mm-hmm. It's early days. The evening is similar. It's getting all the prep that still needs to be done for tomorrow to get you in good shape for that, and then anything that needs to be done to get dinner out. Dinner goes out at like 6:15, and then once it comes back in, you're cleaning up. You're doing any last tasks. Sometimes as soon as dinner's cleaned up, you're done for the day. Sometimes there's still some work that needs to happen. Maybe you've got to make sure all the cookies are set aside for the snack for each camper before they go to bed. And then, making sure the whole kitchen is spotless and writing up tomorrow's prep list so you can just kind of come in like a zombie the morning of and get to work. We're going to do a little check-in with the team, go over the goals for tomorrow before you break for the day. And then hopefully you got time to like watch the sunset or go stargazing before going to bed, or maybe there's a staff special going on and hang out with the other counselors and everything.
Yeah, staff special is short for special, and we try to host about 3 times a week something in our staff lounge. That's just like chill and kind of it's a place for us to just hang out together and let loose a little bit. And I also love that you included the snack cookies at the end of the day. Campers and staff get a little cookie, and they really look forward to it. So it's just like that little thing at the end of the day. But what I've noticed out of pretty much everything is that there's quite a bit of team meetings and team like check-ins that you do. Can you tell me a little bit more why that's important in the scheme of being the chef at camp?
When I was the chef last summer, I had a team. It was everybody's first time working in a professional kitchen. So we needed constant communication about everything we were doing. And then also the team was kind of a highlight of the job. It was so much fun to get to check in with everybody throughout the day, to feed off each other's energy, to get excited. I think sometimes as a prep cook, you can lose the big picture. You maybe aren't working on what we're eating that day. You might be working on what we're eating the next day. So for them to know where what they're cutting is going towards. That kind of thing is really motivating. But really, honestly, it was team building, and it was making sure that we were all on the same page.
Yeah, I love that. The obviously that's sort of like an overview of a day to day, and also what your team does. What are some things that would pop up in the week that doesn't fit necessarily in day to day, but fits within the week to week?
Yeah. So twice a week, we place orders for food delivery. So that involves going over an inventory of everything we have in stock to make sure we're not ordering things we already have, making an
Mm-hmm.
order list and submitting it. You'll do that in tandem with Sheni, our logistics coordinator, as we mentioned. And then receiving orders is also a big job that happens twice a week. And that means putting everything away. You'll have help from the delivery drivers, and then making sure that everything that we get in is in good condition.
I love that. So moving on to our next question, who is the support team? I think we touched a little bit on it in your day to day, but if you could just recap, who supports that chef?
Okay, so your number one point person for everything like in between camp and the kitchen is going to be the logistics coordinator. In our case, Sheni, and she is wonderful and really knows everything about the kitchen, which is amazing. She was really involved this past summer, so she knows how things work. She's a super important resource. So that's your main person. I mean, all of camp is someone you can talk to. You're going to be in communication with a lot of the different leadership team members throughout the day, but Sheni is your number one person. And then it's your team. So you'll have a sous chef with you and prep cooks. And if you have wonderful people you know and love, maybe bring them with you. Get them to apply as well. That would be fun. Or we'll be bringing them on board as well.
And that's a little bit what you did with last year. Some of your pals were working. I know we had somebody that actually came in at the early stage of camp just to help things, get things going. And he could only stay for a couple of weeks, but just that extra person that really helped out. But we could tell the synergy between the two of you was very obvious because you had worked together before. So I think that's a great tip. If you do have a pal that's looking for a job, maybe see if they're interested in working at that camp as well. And definitely finding out who your support team is, because as a chef, you have a lot of pressure on you, and getting comfortable with the people that support you is really important, especially at camp. So this is, I love, love, love that one. Moving on to number 7. So this is more of a flip. It's not something that you should be asking necessarily the organization, but something you should be checking in with yourself. Qualifications and experiences. Tess, tell me more why we've put in this little flip question.
I think being a chef at a summer camp is different than a lot of jobs, and you're going to want to make sure that it's the right job for you. It definitely can be the most fun thing and rewarding job ever, but it only works if it's what you're looking for and it fits what you love in work, essentially. So I think the number one thing is work ethic. It is not like a chill on the dock all day kind of job. You're working hard, really hard every day, and you're going to be tired at the end of it. And that's something I love. But you want to make sure that's what you've got. Adaptability and patience. Every day is different. Sometimes the power goes out because there was a lightning storm and you're going to have to change your plan, or you're working with people who haven't been in the kitchen a lot. People make mistakes. You got to make sure you have you're willing to change plans at the last minute if you need to. And then also you're always going to be patient with the people around you in the face of like pretty high stress situations sometimes. It's great if you have experience producing large amount of food. Cooking for 200 people is not that much like cooking for 10 people. And so having some experience there is going to really help you out. It helps to be an organized person who likes having a plan. You're going to be in charge of creating that prep list every day, about keeping the systems organized. So being an organized person is not how I would have traditionally described myself, but it turned out I do have those skills. So it was actually really good just for working on those skills as well. Communication, you're working with a team and you're also communicating with the rest of camp. So being able to communicate effectively is huge. And also being able to ask for help when you need it. That was something that I learned throughout the summer. And once I figured it out, it was really nice. It really helped me a lot. And then, yeah, I would say those are the big things you want to make sure that you have before doing this kind of job.
Yeah, and I think I remember you saying to me that for you this job was like your Everest, like you were going to Everest, and that's the way you had framed it in your head, and I think you did. I think you went to
Mhm.
Everest and back and around and back up again. And the journey is really wonderful. Getting to the top is really wonderful, but it is that sort of mindset, and it's also being honest with yourself with the things that you might struggle with, and being honest with the organization, because they might have systems in place to help support. Within our organization, we have a lot of people that are very, very organized, that can help support certain things. But it's knowing your limitations, and being transparent about it, and also having enough experience to understand what the job entails. And like you said, cooking for 250 people plus, is very different than when you're cooking for 20 people, maybe in a restaurant. So it's still complicated. Restaurant is to order. Camp is, we already know what we're cooking, but it's in bulk. So just a different type of job.
It is. Yeah.
We have for you a little bonus audience from Tess, because Tess, you sort of cracked, you've had tested out some recipes for when it comes to serving 250 plus people that works, especially with people that have a variety of dietary needs and or restrictions. So bonus question for you, Tess: best type of meals when serving 250 plus people?
Yeah. I mean, so butter chicken, and then you can make it like butter tofu for vegans and vegetarians.
I
That's
did
a great
love that.
one
It was delicious.
loves. Yeah, my favorite probably. We did loaded baked potatoes with like a vegan chili on top, and then you could add cheese and whatever else you wanted to your own, like kind
Nice.
of build it yourself meals, I think are really popular with kids. And then I think my like biggest accomplishment this summer was when I figured out with the mac and cheese, you can cook the pasta in the mac and cheese.
Yes.
Huge game changer. So that was pretty big for me.
Did you
And then we
put broccoli or cauliflower or something in the mac? Like, didn't you?
did do a kind of broccoli mac and cheese. I
That
called
one?
it
Oh,
cream
like
of
people
broccoli
gobbled
soup.
that up. Yes. Wait, sorry, say that again.
Cream of broccoli soup pasta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Loved it.
tasted good. It tasted better than that name implies.
Yes, and the good thing about that too is you can use gluten-free pasta as well. Yeah, no, that one was really great. You were sneaking veggies into things.
That was my
You're
mission.
very good at that. Yeah. So
Thank you.
I love that. The build your own like potato, the mac and cheese with the veggies, there's just you have an opportunity to serve a lot of different things to kids, and then when you give them some choices, that seems to that goes over very well.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, Tess, thank you so much. Really appreciate taking the time today to go over all of these questions. If you're interested in working at Waro, please reach out to us at staff@waro.com. Follow us at Waro, or check us out on our website at waro.com, or check out any camp that's accredited by an association. You do want to find accredited camps because they follow guidelines and best practices that keep everybody safe at camp. Thanks so much, and I hope you find your camp today.
Thank you.